He had anger, so I shoved him down that wrong rack a little more, so it's until that backsliding. And they said it's okay, but they still got that hiss. It sounds wrong on mine.
What's that? Sitting right there.
I was pulling him from the background of the shot.
How's it taste?
I know, but I was like, no, I mean, she's coming here, right? What was
Oh, how could you miss us?
They are? Okay.
Okay, no problem. They haven't done anything.
There weren't cameras here. That's why they didn't come.
You what?
Because you're not going to
Do you mind hotspot? We have one.
Thank you, though. I don't handle this, but.
That give it that.
Folks, my name is Taylor Jones. I'm the Emergency Services Director for Anderson County, and we want to give y'all an update on the events of what unfolded today, and we also want to start out by saying if you'll hold all your questions to the end, we can individually answer those questions at the end. But one of the things that is very important that we want to put out, that all of our schools will operate under regular schedule tomorrow, with the exception of Townville Elementary. Townville Elementary, as y'all know, is still a crime scene, and because of that, that school will be closed tomorrow, and it will also be closed Friday, because we think it'll take that long to wrap up the crime scene analysis from that scene. So I'd like to bring up our coroner first, and he can speak to the death investigation, and then we'll have our sheriff to speak. I have our superintendents here and our other partners that we're working together as a team to keep Anderson safe here.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm Greg Shore, the Anderson County Coroner. I want to update you on the death investigation that's been going on at 150 Osborne Road in Townville. It's still an active crime scene. Mr. Osborne's body was removed and was transported to AnMed Health tonight around 8 o'clock, and it's scheduled for an autopsy tomorrow. He did die at the scene, at his home, from gunshot wounds. That's really all that we can report at this time. Do want to also say that we have activated the United Way 211 system, so if anybody has any questions that can be answered that we can divert to the non-emergency 211 system, those lines are now open and they'll be answered 24 hours a day. So if there's anyone out there that has any questions about how they can receive services, support while we're going through this tragedy, 211 will be the non-emergency number to reach out for services.
Good evening. I'm John Skipper. I'm the sheriff in Anderson County. Just a little recap, and I know most of y'all were here earlier. This call came in about 1:45 today. We got a call from the school that there was an incident going on. Obviously, when officers got there, they encountered the fireman that had actually contained the suspect. What we understand is that this individual went in, he pulled into the parking lot in his vehicle and probably got out of the vehicle firing immediately. Not going to go into the details about what happened at the scene or how many shots were fired, because we're still out there doing that investigation. The shots actually wounded 3 individuals, 2 students, 1 shot in the foot, 1 shot in the leg, and a teacher who was shot in the shoulder. As most of you know, they were transported to various hospitals. The student with the leg injury was transported to Greenville Hospital, and the 2 others were transported here to the Anderson hospitals. We're still in the process, as the coroner had told you, that once we got this individual into custody and got getting better information, it took us back to the Osborne Street address where we found the individual deceased. The individual is a teenager. I'm not going to disclose his name or his age. And he was taken to our office, and we are in the process of taking him through that legal process that he has a right to have, and trying to do an interview. I don't know what the outcome of that interview is at this point in time, and not going to disclose any of that. Certainly want you to know, and I usually get these at press conferences, you know, we, the sheriff's office, are handling this case along with the fire department that was there initially, and all of our other law enforcement partners have a hand in this. As usual, when this happens, I get phone calls. I was bombarded with phone calls from all the sheriffs around us, so we've reached out to several for their command post. The state law enforcement division, the lieutenant here is here with us coordinating some stuff that we, for laboratory purposes and for investigative purposes. And also the FBI and the Secret Service had reached out if we needed any additional things looking at this initially when we looked at it, because you never know about school shootings if it's connected to other organizations. We feel at this point in time this was a individual shooter, and there is no other connection with any other shooters out there that we should be looking for. And so with that, I guess I'll go to the next presenter, Scott Stoller.
Okay, I'm Scott Stoller, Director of EMS and Special Operations with Anderson County. First of all, talking about the firefighter in question that helps to do the subject. He wants to remain humble and kind of quiet about it. We spoke to one of his chief officers, and he states he's a proud member of the Townville Volunteer Fire Department and did nothing that any of the other volunteer firefighters wouldn't have done. So with that said, I don't think there's anyone amongst us that doesn't believe that firefighter Brock is absolutely a hero to us and the whole community. I'm open to answer any questions when we're done here about any of the medical side from the EMS side. That's all we have at this point.
Also, we have our superintendents here from the various districts. Dr. Avery could not re-attend this meeting because she's actually out meeting with some of the teachers and folks who was actually involved during the incident today. But again, our schools, this was an isolated incident. Our schools are safe for operations, and we will continue to monitor the situation as far as crisis debriefing with our students and teachers, working with the Department of Mental Health and the American Red Cross, providing that assistance to them as needed, and we've put together a plan to monitor that. With that, we'll open up for any questions.
Sheriff, is this the same?
Law enforcement tomorrow at the schools. I know you said schools are going to operate on a normal schedule, but will there be law enforcement, extra law enforcement on hand to make people feel?
And I might let the superintendents behind, because I actually haven't talked to these superintendents. We're going to obviously have, there's going to be some law enforcement folks at the Townville school, because we still have a crime scene there, but they're not having students. Short of someone coming out of the, in my opinion, short of someone coming out and trying to be a copycat, which you never know if this would happen, we see no threat from this individual or people that were connected with him to go into any other schools. So with that, I don't know if y'all want to, go ahead and you speak to what you want to do at your school.
Yeah, I'm David Haver, Superintendent of Anderson School District 1, and we are one of the surrounding districts close to Anderson 4. Certainly some of our municipalities and other law enforcement partners have always volunteered that, Mandy, and we certainly don't mind at all taking advantage of that out of an abundance of caution, but we feel very comfortable after a situation like this. Certainly, and being in the surrounding district, it is always best to keep students on a regular schedule, routine schedule. That's how they feel safest, and we think on behalf of our patrons, our parents, and our students, that's best for us to do as a surrounding district. They have volunteered, and I certainly want to send the message that always our law enforcement have been super supportive of us anytime something like this has happened. So again, out of abundance of caution, we will have some extra law enforcement.
Sheriff, the teenage gunman, is this the same student that brought a machete and a hatchet to his middle school earlier this year?
I have not heard that myself.
Sheriff, you said he pulled up in a vehicle and he was not of driving age. Was it his father's vehicle, or where did he get the...
I haven't heard the registration of the vehicle itself. I haven't heard that.
Do
you know how he obtained the gun? Is it his father's gun? Is it a family gun?
No, we have, like I said, I mean, we're at this point, obviously, from an investigative standpoint, we can't get any information from the father. And at this point in time, him being in custody, we're having to go through our judicial process in order to do interviews with him, and as far as I know, he has not indicated any way or reason if he's got it from the house or got it from someplace else.
I know it's charged as minor. Update on the victim's condition?
I usually like to refer that to the hospital because I'm not a medical person. I know that I think I can say this. I think a couple of y'all reported the two that went here have been released from the hospital, and I don't know about the Greenville, the victim at Greenville.
Sheriff, I know it's early, but what is your best indication as to the motive right now?
Have none. We can only speculate as an investigative arm. You always go on history and what gets in people's minds. Did he have issues at school? Did he have issues at home? We don't know, but we're certainly going to run the gamut of everything and try to come up with the motive.
And what, if any, connection did he have to the actual school? Did family members go there? Did he know?
No, and I forgot to, in some of my notes, as I understand, I think he was homeschooled, so he was not a student at that school. He was not a student at the Townville or any school. I think he was homeschooled.
Was he a student at Westfield Middle School before this?
That I do not know.
Have you ever been to that residence before? Any other?
I haven't heard anybody say that we've run those at address for past instances, so I don't know that.
Was the 911 call from 150 Osborne, was that from that house?
I didn't know we had.
How did they find the body?
I think just from taking him into custody and
he sent him over to the house?
That's a possibility.
The first press conference indicated that there was a 911 call that was made.
Okay, I'm not sure of that then. I'm not sure.
And to be clear, all the shots were fired outside of the school in the playground area, not actually in the school.
That is my understanding.
And do we know if the same handgun was used in the shooting of his father as well as in Kansas?
Don't know that at this point in time, obviously. I mean, our crime scene process is, we are relying on, like I said, some of our state partners to help us with this. We are focusing on the school because most of that is on the outside, so we're going to get that done. We have a limited crew at the house, and that will continue tomorrow. Obviously, we can hold that crime scene, and we will hold it until we get through, so we're probably going to hold that till we get some better daylight and go from there.
I know it's been established that this happened in the playground area, but we had some reports that possibly there were shots fired into the school. Have you heard anything about that? Is that something that's
Well, from being out of the scene, as I understand it, when you say the playground area, the parking lot goes into the school. At the end of the parking lot is where the playground area is. As I understand, when he got out of his vehicle, he went toward the school, not toward the playground, and the shots were fired. So if some rounds went down a hallway or in a window, I don't know that. That's for our forensics people to figure that out.
So the teacher that called 911, did she see that happen outside the school, or did she see it happen on
I'm not sure. I don't know where she was from that incident. I just know that because obviously there were teachers outside with the kids on the playground, so I don't know.
Anybody else in the Osborne home when officials arrived there?
I do not know that, but I don't believe so.
Do you know how many students were outside at the time?
I do not. A classroom size.
There has been a lot of rumors and talk going around over the last little bit. One of the things we heard is that the shooter had a bunch of ammo and his gun kept jamming as this incident was happening. Can you confirm?
I can't confirm that at this time.
Can you confirm if the teacher was Megan Hollingsworth?
I can't confirm that.
Sheriff, given the fact that this was a gunman that came into a school where there were presumably kids outside, we heard from one source that it was during recess and there were that many kids out there, and he was opening fire on a group of children and teachers. How incredible is it that more people didn't lose their lives here?
Well, I think it goes back to firefighter Brock, confronting him if nothing else. Most of you local folks know this because you come to our exercises, and I point out Mr. Havard. He and I happened to went to high school together a long time ago. But being one of the first school districts, School District 1 started the ALICE program about what to do. Don't just sit there and do nothing. There's several things along that program. And we've been teaching that program 8-9 years now. And so with that said, for that person individually to, be willing to confront him, as far as why he didn't get off more shots, I can only say at this point, is because he was confronted, probably.
Was there a physical confrontation? Was there a physical confrontation?
I think he just took him down. I mean, like I said, this was I think Mr. Brock is a big, he's a big fella.
And Mr. Brock, just to understand, he came up on the scene after hearing the call. He came up.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he got there originally. I don't know if anybody else could say that. He's dispatched as a firefighter, and see, in the fire station, I don't know if it's a fire station, but it's just right down the road.
Right, so he got there within even before those 7 minutes, or the rest of the officers?
I would think so.
7 minutes, and he got there
Yes.
sooner?
And to be clear here, the shooter was able to get onto school grounds. There wasn't shooting from across the street or anything like that, right?
Right. All the shooting started from the parking lot that was adjacent to the building and the playground.
Sheriff, we've heard that the teacher was able to shut the door and deny the shooter entry to the building.
The teacher that got shot, I know some other teachers that shut some doors to deny him some entry.
What is your best guess?
So other teachers, not the teacher who was shot, or that there might have been multiple?
I'm not sure if it's teacher.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a teacher who was shot or
Well,
not.
at least one teacher did shut the door. And
That's as I understand it, yes.
What is the timeline that you have with regards to the time that elapsed between when the gunman's father was shot dead and then when this incident happened in the school?
I don't know that we have a timeline on that. I think it was fairly close. I mean, I don't think, I'm pretty comfortable. I don't think it was hours, but I don't know for sure.
What about the gunman?
I said I don't think it was. I think it was.
Anybody else at the home at the time?
Not that I know of.
What about the shooter's mother?
I do not know her status.
She was at work.
She was at work. I don't know what she worked. Do you know?
Yeah, I'll answer a few questions about the Osborne Road case. We know that Mr. Osborne's parents are the ones that discovered him. She got a phone call from her grandson about 1:44, and he was crying and upset, and they couldn't understand what was going on. So they went to his home, which they lived just 100 yards away, to see what was going on, because they couldn't understand why he was crying on the phone, and they couldn't make sense of it. When they go into the house, they find their son has been shot, and their grandson's not there.
So
This was at 1:44 when she received a cell phone call from her grandson.
her grandson being the shooter.
Correct.
So he called his grandmother before he opened fire?
Well, she received a call on her cell phone at 1:44 p.m. She could not make out what he was saying because he was crying and upset. So they went to the house because that's where she believed he was at, and that's when she discovered her son and called 911.
And the first calls you got about the school shooting was at 1:45?
Correct.
How critical was first aid on the scene of saving that one student's life? I've been told that the child that's in critical condition would not have made it if CPR wasn't administered on the scene.
I can speak to that. I arrived within the first batch of first responders. When I got there, the school nurses and other school staff were working on that student. Firefighters from Townville Fire Department were working on that student. We had a couple from Oconee County that were close that responded as well. It was very critical. Training, proper equipment is absolutely critical. And without their intervention, early intervention and continued intervention, the outcome would have been very different.
Is there any indication that the shooter went anywhere between the time he shot his father and the time he arrived at the school?
I don't know that he did. I don't believe so.
This question is for the superintendents. We got a copy of the alert sent out to parents. It said all students were safe. If 2 students were shot, why was that wording included in the alert sent out to parents?
That came from District 4, so.
That was a text message that was sent out after the fact, once that the scene was secure, and we were setting up the reunification spots and sending that emergency messages out that the superintendent from District 4 did in conjunction with emergency management there on the scene. That's all the time we have for questions. We thank y'all for everything, and we'll provide, I think that'll be, from the county standpoint, our last update for tonight, and we'll be in further contact with y'all as far as any future information. Thank y'all.
We can be tried as an adult. It's not my job. Okay. Are we sitting in an adult? In discussion, we have